Impact Interview is sponsored by the Pocono Mountains, where small town charm meets big adventures. Book your trip today by visiting PoconoMountains.com.
Welcome back to Nittany Game Week. Our Impact Interview is a special one. It's ESPN sideline reporter Molly McGrath, and Molly has worked with Todd Blackledge, one of our favorites, of course, 1982 national championship quarterback for Penn State. So by extension, Molly becomes one of our favorites. Thanks for joining us. I really appreciate the time.
Todd Blackledge is the absolute best. He's a legend in every way. I'm so lucky to know him and to have worked with him, and I'm going to continue to be one of his biggest fans with his work at NBC. And you guys know he's one of the best people in the world. But thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no doubt. I hope you were able to go out on some of the Taste of the Town shoots with Todd in the past. But so look, we have a two-parter about footwear to get started, okay? And one of the main reasons we wanted you on is to talk about an awesome promotion with the Children's Miracle Network Hospitals, the Cleat Crew. But first, we're going to show some video of you just sprinting out to the middle of the field and to do a post-game interview with the coach. And we were impressed with the speed and especially the conditioning as you just made the turn, get ready for the camera, and you're not even out of breath. So please start there before you go into the Cleat Crew, Molly.
I think people should be most impressed with the fact that I'm wearing high-heeled boots on that sprint. And can you imagine how much faster I would have been able to go if I had been wearing cleats, if I'd been maybe wearing some Cleat Crew cleats for that? But yeah, I said to my husband after, I showed him the video and it's like blown up. And I said, I have quick burst, but I don't have endurance. I wouldn't have been able to do that run for a long time. Like, for a mile, no way, but a quick burst to get the coach. I'll do anything to get the interview on time. That was at West Virginia against Pitt. I thought maybe the West Virginia fans were going to rush the field. And so I knew that I needed to get to the coach as quickly as possible right off the handshake so that I didn't lose him in a sea of people. So that's why I was, running so aggressively. And then, yeah, you kind of have to run for it and then completely bring your composure on and be composed and ready to go on television. But it's something I'm used to at this point. I basically run like that for almost all of my post-game interviews, because if I don't get the interview in time, we go off the air and my interview doesn't make the air. So it's kind of just something I have to do. I've just been conditioned over many years as a sideline reporter to get that done. Another segue to footwork, I'm working with 7-Eleven for their Cleat Crew. It's a really cool thing. This is the first time this has been done in college football, to have players who are able to design their own cleats. And they're working with the shoe surgeon who has done cleats, or he's done cleats for athletes. He's also done shoes for LeBron James. He's really famous. He does an incredible job. And he's making these one-of-a-kind cleats for these athletes. It's like a work of art, how beautiful these are. And then the players are able to wear them and then auction them off. And you can have basically this like work of art that your favorite player has worn, and all the proceeds are going to Children's Miracle Network hospitals, which is really, really cool. So it's for a good cause. It's a really cool program that they have. And we have some incredible athletes that are a part of it this season. And I'm just excited to see the designs of the cleats, because it really does show the personalities of these guys as well.
So Molly, you started interviewing people when you were still in college at BC, and you really worked your way up the ladder. For younger people that are watching, how important was it for you to be willing to do the hard work and get the reps that really helped get you established and still help you constantly improve today?
You guys know it's a grind. And I think you have to be willing to do the hard work from the early parts of it all the way until you're where I am and beyond that. I feel like the best people in this industry who have career longevity and who are able to cover things like national championships and Super Bowls are the people who never stop grinding and never stop working and treat, a top 5 game assignment, like a top game assignment that weekend. You treat it just as you would, a high school game. I just think you have to bring that same passion into it. And so, I worked my way up in college. I created a sports reporter position at Boston College where I interviewed the athletes, and then I edited the video, posted it online. I was kind of like a one-man band then. And with the Celtics, when I started my first job on camera, I was the Celtics web reporter. So you just have to be willing to put the time in and put the work in and do whatever it takes to make your career work, whether that's moving somewhere, whether it's working long hours, missing holidays with family. It's a sacrifice, but it's worth it to do something that you're truly passionate about and that you love.
Molly, Tom Bradley, everybody talks about the coach's work week. Can you tell us about your week, how you go from Monday through, well, Sunday through Saturday?
Yeah, so my work week kind of starts on Sunday, so I have a game every Saturday, and it's usually a Saturday night game. We'll do a primetime game. And so I'll come home first thing Sunday morning on a usual week, and I'm just waiting at my computer to get the email for our game assignment. So we don't know our game assignment every week until 6 days before the game. So we find out every Sunday what game we're doing that next week. And if I'm on a plane, I'll start the research right there, and I'll be, exhausted from the night before, but I'll start looking into the players that I need to speak with, who the sports information directors are from each school. And I'll reach out to the SIDs either on Sunday or first thing Monday morning and say, hey, can we get on the phone to talk about your team? What makes this group special? And can I put some player requests in? And so from there, I just start my prep and like looking into everything about the team and the players that I want to speak with. I'll request 2 to 3 guys from each team. 3 is ideal. And I'll speak to them on my own, one-on-one on the phone, just to get something that's unique to me and like to our crew, something that no one else has. There's no clips about this conversation that I had with this player. It's going to be, something that only I was able to get, and I can bring that to our crew. And some of this stuff, like, doesn't get on the air, but I'll give it to our booth, our play-by-play, and our analyst as background. Hey, I'm not going to tell this story, but you need to know this about this guy. He has a really cool personality, and there's this great story about him here. So Monday is like all about coordinating those interviews and researching those interviews. I also make my own depth charts and game boards with statistics, injury information, cool stories about the players, what to look for, their strengths and weaknesses. So I have full depth charts that I make myself on, an app on my computer. And then it's just a ton of reading, and it's a ton of watching games. Monday is also a day where, I'll maybe be doing laundry and I'll have a game on, and I'll just be watching the last couple games that the team played in over the last couple weeks. So it's a lot. I've said to my husband a lot this season, especially now that we have 2 children. I've said, I feel like I need 1 or 2 more days a week for this prep. I'm cramming up until game day, and it feels truly like I'm cramming for a test. And it's the kind of test that you don't want to fail, right? Like, you don't want to fail on live TV. So it's worth all of the prep and the cramming, but man, it is a grind to get to Saturday.
Well, with 2 kids, hopefully you have enough laundry. You can watch a lot of games while you're handling those laundry duties for sure. I have 2 myself, so I know where that comes from. But look, as far as notable games, you've worked a national championship, but there are so many other great games in college football that wasn't necessarily for a national championship. What are 1 or 2 that stand out? And is there anything left on the bucket list that you want to get to?
Oh my gosh, that's so hard because I've covered so many good games. Okay, so national championship, covering national championship has always been a dream and a goal of mine. So to be able to do that the last 2 years has been surreal. I covered last year's national championship 8 months pregnant, which was like an intersection of both of my dreams coming true. So that was incredible. Last year, the Fiesta Bowl between TCU and Michigan was an incredible game. That was one of my favorite games I've covered, just in terms of the play on the field, the storylines, the athletes. Michigan and JJ McCarthy, like, he plays with so much passion. Just being able to witness someone like him on the sidelines and what he's saying to his teammates, before trying to win a game and make it to a championship. Like, I don't take for granted how special those moments are. And to even just be, on the sidelines, witnessing things like that is so special. In terms of a bucket list, I think at some point in my career, I want to cover a Super Bowl. And so that's something that is still ahead of me, and that I would love to do at some point in my career, is cover the NFL again. I started my career with Fox Sports covering the NFL in the beginning of my career, and loved it, and then moved on to college football. And I have this incredible passion for college football, and I'm not ready to leave that sport anytime soon. But it is like once you get to the highest point and like you cover a national championship, it's like, well, what else could I do? I want to continue covering national championships, but to get to that next level too and cover a Super Bowl at some point would be surreal.
So every week you work with Sean McDonough and Greg McElroy, and certainly McGrath, McDonough, and McElroy sounds like a South Boston law firm.
It does.
But on your crew, how important is chemistry between all of you, and how hard is it for you every week for you and Sean to have to carry McElroy?
Chemistry is everything. Let me just tell you. First of all, Greg is incredible, as you know. He's a great teammate. And I think that that's the most important part of these broadcast crews is to have great chemistry and to be good teammates to each other. And Greg is a great teammate. At the beginning of every week, he sends us basically his notes from watching film on both of these teams. I don't know how he gets it out like Monday morning. He must be watching a ton of film on Sundays because he gives us his notes on Monday morning, what he likes about this team, the strengths of this offense, what this running back does well, how this quarterback's weight gain has affected the way that he plays. He sends us all of this. And that helps get me ready for the week because I know what Greg is looking for. I know what's important to my analyst. Thus, that's going to be important to my game because I want to support him the best way that I can. And so that's just an example of our teamwork. And I think chemistry is everything. We truly like each other, off the air, and then on the air, we're able to support each other. And, there's a lot of times that I will, during commercial breaks, tell things to Greg and to Sean that don't make it on the air. Hey, just so you know, I talked to this guy before the game. He said this. You should slip that in somewhere. And they're able to do that. And I know that because I am helping them, I'm making our broadcast better. And I know that they'll have my back when I need it as well. So I feel like chemistry is like, I don't know, probably 70% of it. And the rest is like talent and hard work and all of that stuff. But the chemistry really matters for a broadcast crew.
What goes through your thoughts when you have to see a coach at halftime who did not have a good half or between quarters, and this interview could get a little bit interesting? What are you thinking?
I'm like, ooh, goody, let's go. I love interviews like that. And you're kind of in the line of fire, right? Because it's a person who is at the top of their craft, incredibly well respected. They're so good at their job and they're very passionate and they're frustrated, and you're asking them about why they're frustrated and you're in the line of fire. But I think that emotion is good to show, right? It's good to show that kind of emotion. Everyone watched Dan Lanning's pregame speech to his team before Colorado this week. It was incredibly emotional and it made people I would run through a wall for Dan Lanning. I would run through a wall for Ryan Day. Ryan Day, after the Ohio State win, he's yelling about his team and their toughness has been questioned. But I think it's special to be a part of those emotional moments, good or bad. If they're mad at you, I've had coaches yell at me, watch the tape, and walk off in an interview. Well, that's a story. Like, he's that frustrated that he's walking off in the middle of an interview. That's a part of the story of the game. So I love those emotional moments. I think that's what makes college football and sports in general so special.
Molly, I'm going to follow up on that by asking you about the evolution of some of the coaches that are around a program for a long time, or maybe bounce from program to program, how you see them develop. Obviously, your relationship with them develops too, but as a football coach, maybe they're more successful at a second stop or 5 years at a program. Is that kind of cool to see how they evolve as well as a football coach and how their program goes?
Yes, I love that. And when I get excited to cover a team, the athletes are involved. It's because, oh man, I'm so excited to see this quarterback in person, or I've never seen this receiver in person. I can't wait to watch him in one-on-one matchups. I'm also really excited because I usually love the coach. You have a good working relationship with the coach. You root for them. You want them to succeed. And that makes covering the game so much more fun. And let's give the game I have this weekend as a great example, Kansas at Texas, to look at the arc of Steve Sarkisian's career and look at what he did in the Pac-12, Washington, USC, and then he is not a head coach anymore. He goes to Alabama as an offensive analyst and then an offensive coordinator. Now he's at Texas, and he has an opportunity to bring one of the blue bloods back to dominance. And Texas is a legit top 5 team. They beat Alabama. He beat Nick Saban, and he has a real chance to do something special at Texas. I'm rooting for a guy like him because I've seen him succeed and I've seen him fail. And I'm excited to watch him continue to succeed. So it's really cool to have known these coaches for as long as I have and to watch kind of the ebbs and flows of their careers. That also makes it really special.